Sanibonani guys, Amkele lo ushame uhlanza udliza sibisho umuntu ngumake izinto sinyathela siqoqoqa nje ukuba usafanele somana ngafanele umuntu uzadla kamaseka sikamntana sasifana umuntu umshema ahla uzibobe unkonyane. I promise you that was actually like I wasn't just saying gibberish, it was actual words. I just said it too fast. But anyway, guys, we did this video today and we called it Guy Emotions because we generally just wanted to talk about the emotions that guys have and that guys go through, just to get into a space where we normalize these kind of conversations among guys, so that it's not just, you know, talking about FIFA and talking about hands and talking about, yo, I met this other hand today, because I genuinely think that, and actually we as Dirty Dishes genuinely think that a lot of the things that happen in our society and the way that guys interact with people and each other and the society at large is because of the fact that guys aren't aware of the things that they feel, and they aren't aware of the different patterns that they go through and how they deal with the emotions. That they don't talk to them and they don't talk about their emotions with themselves, hence they don't know their patterns, they don't know their toxic traits, and now there are all these problems. So these are conversations that we must normalize with people and with our friendship circles and with ourselves for the betterment of ourselves and the society at large. I actually realized a funny story. So I got me, I do engineering and we have a lot of test weeks, and I realized my self-care is actually the pits, is the bottom, because I used to consider every after every like single engineering week, I used to consider self-care as going to my friends and drinking, and that I was done. That was my dosage of self-care. And I would like to believe now that it's actually way deeper, and there's actually a day where you know, with self-care, we have to realize that you must love yourself. You must love yourself with your money, even when you are broke. There was one time where a friend of mine borrowed money from me, and I jumped very quickly and I withdrew the money. I went to them and I borrowed their money. But I thought to myself, Amkele, if you can borrow people money, why don't you take that very same money and buy yourself a breakfast? That very same day, I went to Spek at breakfast, and I whipped out my books. I was there studying, I had my coffee, I don't know what I had for breakfast. So, and I don't usually, I think that for me counts as self-care, like just taking yourself out and going with you, and not going home and making it. I mean, having peanut butter and jam is okay too, but sometimes just go to a young restaurant and have yourself a young breakfast, have some lunch there, you know, take care of yourself. How I do it now these days, especially when I have some free time, I just lay back, you know what I'm saying, listen to some music, watch a sermon or two, because for me self-care is a very spiritual thing, and like you need to like just work on your spirituality. I also like really love music, so self-care for me includes also like playing some guitar, and so that's one of my hobbies, is something I enjoy doing. So yeah, man, I had something that was actually fire to say, but I forgot it, so I'm just gonna move to the next topic. It's okay. Hygiene is a very important thing, and I'm raising my voice now because Gents is very important. Gents, I say if it is normalized, if you walk into a guy's flat, there's dirty dishes every. See what I did there? There is dead dishes all over the place. The floor is dirty. Your clothes are everywhere. There's actually one video where I once watched where this guy was saying, I think it goes a lot to it has a lot to do how society is and how men are raised, because you know, we have this thing where we raise a little boy and you call him Mkuluza, and we pamper him and we love him, and now he thinks he's a king, and now that causes a problem when he goes to other people's houses, because they can't even pick up their own underwear when they shower, you know what I'm saying, and they don't know how the fact that you have to wash that thing. So I genuinely think that as gents we have to normalize being clean, and it's not just and the whole thing that Locks and Fundo was saying, you could see some gents don't believe in wiping their asses out there, is quite outrageous for me, because I kept thinking maybe my mind is too far, but I keep thinking, what happens when you're in bed with your partner, you know what I'm saying, and you're doing in bed partner things, and then now you're sweating, and you didn't wipe your ass. So when you sweat and you didn't wipe there, what's gonna happen, my man?
Questions.
Yeah, man, I think let's definitely normalize being clean as gents. Wash your underwear, wash your socks, gents. Okay, anger for me is actually a very complicated thing because it's actually a thing that I've been thinking about quite a lot. And I'll be honest with you, in this video I actually don't have a formula, because at some point in my life, so this is how I used to deal with anger. At some point in my life when I was angry, I would just ignore it. I just walk away from the situation that made me angry, just ignore it, minimize it, and carry on with my life. But then the more I grew up, the more I started to see that the more you grow up, the more you overthink things. Especially when you come to varsity, you're stressed by cause, you're stressed by something that someone said to you. Now it's manufacturing in your mind. So I thought to myself, okay, how do I deal with this anger? You know what I'm saying? And then I started having this thing where, so if I was involved in a heated situation, I retract and then go like internalize it on my, think about it on my own, and then call the person later on to address it, because I do believe that if anything upsets you, whether you're a guy or anyone, if anything upsets you, you really do have to bring it to the table. But now the problem with that was, the more I went back to think about it, the more it replayed in my head, and the more angry I got. So when I got to the person, I seemed crazy because now I have all this extra anger coming through because I've been thinking about it. So now I seem like I've been harboring anger and I'm crazy, because when all that anger comes back, it's like, I'm angry now, and by that time, the thing is, the problem with that is, if you don't deal with the situation right there and then, and you come back later, the person, when you find the person, they've even moved on with their lives and they're not even there anymore. They're not even thinking about what happened, and you seem like you're still holding on to what happened. So I was like, okay, I definitely have to change that. So I started addressing the situation like right there and then. But then I realized that that's also a problem, because if you do address the situation right there and then, you might find that you over exaggerate the situation because you haven't had the time to put yourself in the person who upsets you's shoes. So you can imagine, with all these things that I've said, that it's a conundrum, it's a dilemma. I was sitting thinking, how do I deal with anger? There's literally a time where so I watch a lot of Stephen Furtick on YouTube. I watch a lot of his sermons, and I went and I searched this was a while ago. I searched a sermon about anger. I was talking about anger because he really like challenges all these things that for me, I think he's one person that really like attacks things that we deal with on a daily basis and tries to relate them to the Bible and tries to help people deal with things in a God glorifying manner. So it hit me because we're growing, Mos, and we're finding the things that we believe in and the things that set our values. So I thought to myself, if I'm struggling so much with anger, what does God say about my anger? And I'm sorry, I've said all of this. I haven't actually figured it out. It's still a journey. I'm still praying about it. I'm still watching more sermons. I'm still reading the Bible to learn what God says about anger and how He says I must deal with anger. You know what I'm saying? It's still a journey for me. And I remember I was speaking to my boys actually recently. I was speaking to KG and Fundo because, me and my boys, we have these wholesome conversations. And I remember KG was like, bro, maybe you should try, like, if ever you are angry, maybe you should try put yourself in the person's shoes that made you angry, and perhaps that might make you less angry because you will start seeing the intention that they had when they said whatever they said and they did whatever they said, and hence you won't like have like an anger outbreak, whatever. I'm not saying all of this because I have anger issues, guys. I don't have anger issues, I promise. It's just that I do dislike it when like I feel anger and I have to deal with being angry at someone, because when you do get angry I don't like being angry, because now it's a very awkward feeling. What must I do? Must I shout? Must I fight? Must I internalize it? Internalizing is wrong. What must you do? You know what I'm saying? So my advice is just find what you believe in. Me, I believe in God, so for me it's what does God say about this, and trying to deal with that emotion, that particular emotion, in the most God-glorifying manner. Locks pretty much covered everything that is important about failure, in terms of the fact that, in society, you see yourself as worthless if you can't bring bread to your table, especially if you're a man nowadays, and that is true. So I've seen that with me, and it's just not necessarily bringing bread to the table, because I'm still a student, but failure for me has actually been like a really, really whack thing, where like I've been very hard on myself. Say I fail a young test, now I'll sit and think, Amkele, but why did you fail that test? Because I'm a thinker, and I'm a problem solver. So if I do go through failure, I sit down and I think about it, and I'm like, but why did you fail? And how can we improve this and whatever? And that's obviously bad, because it's wrong to beat yourself up when things like that do happen. So my advice to you is, when failure does happen, just realize that these things do happen, and learn to pick yourself up and learn to not be too hard on yourself, because if you are not on your team, then who else will be, big man? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, if I was a woman for a day, I'd date a woman. I would date a woman, because I think I'm very interested in like how, because here's why. Here's where that comes from. So my little sister is not really my little sister. It's my half sister's daughter, which is my niece. But I just say little sister because we're really close, and explaining that is really complicated. You see, I just took time in this video to explain that it's really complicated. So I just say my little sister. Anyway, my little sister is lesbian. She's not really lesbian. She's bi. She says she's bi. But anyway, we're at like a family gathering, right? At the family gathering, I think it was Christmas. I can't remember. It was December, sometime December. We're chilling next to her. She's quite a cool person, you know. And we talk about everything. So I'm chilling next to her, and she says, "Amkele, that girl has a nice ass." I'm like, "Hey, man, okay, sharp faded." And then she's like, I'm like, "Okay, then go get her number." And then literally in front of my eyes, she stood up, went to her, hugged her once, and then she got her number and came back. So if that dynamic for me is very, you know, as guys, we struggle as guys. We try to stop a girl on the road. They say, yay. You know, can't as a girl, you can just roll up there, hug her, and you say number, and give you the number. And it's, I hope people that are lesbian watching this understand. I think it's easy, and I would love to experience dating women as a woman. What's your socks?